I'm sorry to tell you, but you will always be working like a dog, or your business will most likely fail unless you decide to quit first if you don't have them. Let's talk about what that is right now. Let's get to work. Hey there, my love. Okay, all right. This is a serious one. We need to talk. It is so serious that I decided Asher needs to be in on this one.
Asher, as referred to in the Urban Dictionary as Asher syndrome, means the distinct inability to get your shit together.
And stick around, because I am going to talk to you later on and give you something for free that is going to help you get everything that I'm going to teach you about today done in your business. So, before I do, I just want to make sure that if you like this, make sure you subscribe, that you give me some comments, some engagement, that you like, that you share, because it is time to get down to brass tacks in your business. We've already talked about why it's so important to have processes and to document them in your business. And I am going to link to that video right here in the cards, because if you didn't see that, you're going to want to go back and look at why it's so important to do what we're going to do today. But today, I'm actually going to teach you how to create that document, your standard operating procedures. I'm going to walk you through how to do it step by step. But wait, there's more. I'm actually going to give you my template that I use to create my SOPs and my organization. And you got to stick around so that I can show you exactly where to go to get it. But that document is going to be what's going to actually help you get this done. So let's talk about step number one. Step one is to determine the purpose of your SOP or your standard operating procedure. And the reason why understanding the purpose is so important is because how you create it and the information that you're ultimately going to include in the document and how you actually will walk through the step-by-step process that you're going to put into this document is really dependent upon what the purpose of the document is. Now, again, in that video that we've already talked about, when I talk about why it's so important to have them, a lot of those things are really included in the purpose of the document. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to use your SOP to train incoming staff, to make sure that your team is compliant with the steps in the process, to continue to provide great customer service, and just to make sure that you guys are functioning very efficiently, which is ultimately going to help you control your costs. But the first step really is thinking through why and what the purpose is of the SOP, because the kind of language that you're going to include in it is going to be dependent upon that step. Step 2 is that you really need to pick the actual processes or the process itself that you need to document. And so a question that I get oftentimes when I'm working with my clients, because this is actually one of my areas of specialty, and when I'm working with coaching clients, this is exactly what we really focus on, kind of creating and documenting the standard operating procedures for them. You're really going to want to figure out which ones you want to do first. The question that I get is, should I do them all? Should I document every single thing that we do? And my response is always no. That's going to be overwhelming, and you're really not in the business of just creating SOPs all the time, right? You're really in the business of delivering your product and service. So the order in which you proceed with documenting and creating SOPs for your processes is really going to be the order of importance for your particular business. Or maybe it's tied to you as a solopreneur or you as an entrepreneur that I would say is still in the startup phase, meaning yourself up to about 3 employees, less than $300,000 in revenue per year. Or if you're an entrepreneur that's in that growth phase, up to 10 employees, between 300 and a million, or even a little bit further, 1 million to 3 million phase, you are really going to want to determine mapping out those processes and procedures based upon who you need to bring on board to your team in order to really maximize their onboarding and their training. So oftentimes it's tied to who you want to hire first. And I am going to link to that video, which we have already done, how to determine who you want to hire first and to actually get them hired right here in the card so that you can take a look at that. Because the first process that you want to document is the first process really that you want to delegate. That's the one that you want to make sure that you're spending the time thinking through all the steps that are involved and beginning to create the SOP for that process. That way, when you onboard that new hire or when you bring in that new employee, you've got something to train them on and something for them to document what they're doing and know step by step so that you can continue to move forward in your business very, very efficiently. Step 3 is where you really get into the meat of it, and that's creating the document itself. Again, that free template that I am going to give you and tell you where to get it at the end of this video is going to be gold for you. And honestly, it's not something that I share with anybody who's not already a coaching client or in one of my coaching programs. So take advantage of this template because it can be the format for all of your SOPs that you create as you continue to grow your business. But creating that document is going to be really important. And oftentimes I get asked, should I create a written document? Should it be an electronic document? Where should I house it? Should it include flowcharts? And the answer to all of those questions is yes, 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 and yes. I recommend that you create a written document as well as an electronic form of that document. I also recommend that every single SOP in that template will actually contain an example of a flowchart for you. Every single SOP does need to contain kind of a flow chart. Now, there are a ton of awesome systems and softwares that have come up over the last few years because back in the day when I was first doing all this crap in my businesses, you know, these electronic systems and software tools didn't exist. So I just basically had manual books that I would go in and update and pass out to my team, and we would always refer to it when somebody had missed a step or wasn't following the process. I'd say, here it is right here, step number 3, you missed it, and that's why we're experiencing these consequences. But that electronic written document is going to be important for you to have moving forward as an easy reference guide. An electronic form of it is also important because electronic forms will allow you to be able to make tweaks and updates very, very quickly and for everybody to have real-time access to it. So I have some clients who just like to keep them in a Google Doc that's kind of can be updated, or a Google Drive or your OneDrive for your organization. And they all should contain flowcharts. So those 3 are a yes: written, electronic, and flowcharts. And then also you're going to want to think about how your team is going to have access to these very easily as they're in the process of actually doing the processes. So for instance, if your sales process is your first SOP that you want to create because your first employee is going to be a new salesperson, then you want them to be able to easily access that sales process as they're going through what that sales process actually is. And you're going to want them to have access to all of the tools, the email templates, the scripts, the overcoming objection sheets, whatever it is, the proposals, whatever it is that's involved in that sales process, all the accompanying documentation, you're going to want to be able to link to so that they have easy access to accessing it. Because that was one of the things that I've learned in my businesses for sure, is if it's always just written, it's very, very difficult for people to actually access the accompanying supporting documents that go along with that process. So making sure that you have it electronically and that you've thought through where everybody is going to get access. So if it's a shared drive, great. That's where you're going to want to put them in. Standard operating procedures folder, and inside each of those SOPs, along with all of the documents that are being referenced to in that SOP, that's really important as a part of this step. So now I want to give you a CP impact tip. And these are the electronic software-based tools that I want to make sure that you are aware of and that I want you to look into because they are ultimately going to help you during your SOP process. One is called Lucid Chart. And Lucid Chart I love because it allows you to actually create those flow charts electronically that I just talked to you about. But inside of Lucid Chart, there's various plans and programs that you can use. As you're creating the swim lanes and the flow charts that go along with each of your SOPs, you can actually link electronically to the documents that are relevant to each of the steps in that process. So I really do like Lucid Charts. I've also heard great things about Zavanta. Zavanta is a newer process and system tool out there that allows you to really document your SOPs very significantly. And it kind of gives you all of the resources and tools where all of your policies and procedures can kind of be housed in one place. And it can be used, obviously, as a training tool. But my all-time favorite, and this is kind of a huge CP impact tip, is Trainual. Trainual is new on the market. And I tell you what, when you go out to actually research Trainual, and I'm going to actually put a link for you down below to access Trainual in the description. The reason why I love Trainual is because not only is it a great way to store your SOPs, to document your SOPs, and to create them, but it goes a step further. And it actually becomes a team portal that allows you to incorporate your SOPs into all of your onboarding and training processes for your employees. And that is critical. So tied to having them in there and being able to access them and create your training and your onboarding around them, it also allowed you to put quizzes in and tests in to test the knowledge base of each employee to make sure that they are actually going through the onboarding and training that you need them to go through in order to learn your SOPs and learn the standard operating procedures that take place throughout your organization. The fact that you can track what the completion rates are, it kind of takes the whole, metrics and measurement of your SOP implementation process and whether or not your employees are following your SOPs to a whole new level. So, and believe it or not, it's extremely affordable for you as a small business. So I have found that of all of those things, Trainual is an all-in-one piece, and it's really priced very well for a small business. So let's move on to step number 4. Now that we've already talked about discovering your purpose and figuring that out, determining which processes you want to start with, and then beginning to document and create those SOPs, step number 4 is really related to the implementation and training on those SOPs. And it's a recommendation that I make to every single person. Obviously, I am really big on video.
Get the out of here! No, I cannot!
But I truly believe that video is the most efficient and effective way to train your staff on those SOPs. So step 4 is create video trainings on the written SOPs for your staff in order to onboard them and train your existing folks. And the reason why I think video is a great solution is not just because it's going to help make that personal connection in a training, not going to necessarily pull your whole team when you're a small business off the floor or out of their jobs in order to train them on an SOP, but it also allows for good cross-training of employees. When you're a small business and somebody's out, it's really good for somebody else on the team to be aware of what that person does so that they can fill in for them when they're out. They understand how to be able to actually get their job done. But secondly, it also, especially for promotion purposes and growth purposes, it gives people the opportunity to go out there and look at whatever position it is that they aspire to be in and say, oh, well, this is kind of what that person does. And what you'll find is your employees will actually begin to train themselves on that next level process or procedure and be able to bring a whole different level of value. And if you actually have to walk your employees through how to do a certain software, how to set something up, how to access something, a video training with a screen share where you can actually show them in real time what they're looking at and walk them through kind of a demo of your software system, it's going to be absolutely irreplaceable. So create those videos. And that brings me to step number 5, which is review your SOPs regularly and tweak them as needed. Now, regularly is really dependent upon how new your SOP is and how much experience you've had testing it and tweaking it. I would say in the very beginning of a brand new SOP that you've just started documenting, once a month at minimum requires a review. You're going to want to pull in the staff person that's implementing the SOP, or if you're doing it, analyze what's going on and ultimately figure out which areas of the process is not working and tweak it and then do it again. Implement the new step, implement the tweak, review it, do it for about a month or so, and then come back again and ultimately review it and tweak it. It's very important. Now, once you've gotten to a point where you've tweaked your SOP a few times, you know it's pretty solid, you've gotten it to its maximum amount of efficiency, people are really gravitating to it and really taking it in and really kind of knowing it like the back of their hand, then once a quarter is enough to really be able to review that actual process itself. Because no matter what, you never want to get to a point where you've not taken a look at your SOPs, you've not tweaked them, and you've not updated them, because that's really another kiss of death in your organization when you're not able to really pivot and redirect all of those efforts that your team is making and keep things maximum efficiency, especially when you're a coach, a consultant, or a service-based business, because the people are the ones that are delivering what you do, and efficiency is going to be the closest and most effective means for you to ultimately save as much money as possible. The longer it takes to do things, the more expensive they really are. So go get started with this process. Implement today. Go down below in the description box and grab that template. It is going to actually help you figure out everything that you need, and you can use that same document for every SOP. It is going to be gold for you. So go grab it right now below and actually watch these 2 videos next. They are going to take everything that you have learned in this video to the next level. Until next time, my love, I will see you on Friday. Mwah!